자, 이어서 세상을 바꿔나가는 혁신기업 로켓리그 기업의 피칭을 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 이번 피칭은 전부 다 영어로 진행된다고 하니까 그 통역기를 이용해 주시면 좋겠습니다. 이번 심사는 정예솔 퓨처플레이 책임심사역님, 정혜민 알토스벤처스 심사역님, 니킬 아가왈님께서 함께 해주시겠습니다. 첫 번째 발표사인 소울파킹의 발표자분 나와주시면 좋겠습니다. 피칭 시간은 5분이며 4개 기업의 피칭이 모두 끝나면 15분간 그룹 심사를 진행하겠습니다. 발표자분께서는 준비되면 피칭을 시작해 주시기 바랍니다.
안녕하세요. I'm Kenneth, co-founder of Soulparking, and today I'm going to start with a quick video about our product. So we're based in Jakarta, Indonesia, where essentially there's a lot of motorcycle population, and with about 85% of motorcycle riders. And actually, there's about 120 million, with half of the entire population owns a motorcycle.
Illegal parking and informal fee collectors nationwide. In fast-growing cities such as Jakarta and Bali, this has raised major concerns on traffic jam and saturated pollution levels. Moreover, lack of governance results in non-transparent data, causing loss of income and tax leakage. Introducing CMS, a multi-level portable parking solution for two-wheeled riders. Users can open Soulparking app and scan the QR code for a contactless check-in. This semi-valid procedure ensures the motorcycle is parked accordingly inside the CMS. Our automated hydraulic lift then carries the motorcycle vertically to a designated parking level. Commuting gets easier than ever. Using our early checkout feature that saves time and allows e-payment for a seamless exit. Our second product, OS, is a cloud-based software that digitizes existing parking buildings through transparency and efficiency. Compared to traditional parking, we assist landowners in maximizing revenue and decreasing operational expense. Our parking management dashboard provides quantitative data insights and analytics, monthly parkers, hardware monitoring, content report, and reconciliation, all of which are accessible in real time. Reporting stats live at your fingertips. Parking revolution is here. Take the first step and join our mobile parking movement with Soulparking.
So that's a little bit about our products. On the business model, we have two types. One, which is partnership, where we do sharing model with the landowner in a 10-year contract, and typically we do get about 70 to 80% of the net profit. On second business model, which is equipment sale, we do sell our physical infrastructure to B2B and B2G, and we take margin from selling. In the future, we're also exploring franchise as well as hardware as a service. And besides parking, we also have non-parking ecosystem ranging from F&B, financial services, all the way to electric vehicle, where typically they do rental sharing, all the way to battery swapping station within our parking premises. On the market size, we're tapping into the on-street and off-street parking market in Indonesia at about a 30 billion market, and we're aiming for the commercial spaces with about 68,000 parking buildings at about 7 billion, and we're aiming for about 15% market share. On the computer analysis, we're essentially the only end-to-end parking management technology provider that can tap into the elevator parking, technology-enabled, as well as traditional parking. So in the long run, we aspire to be like Flash Parking in the US, whereby they lead the way as a cloud-based hardware as a service to advance the connected mobility ecosystem by focusing on parking as well as parking add-ons such as EV and charging station. On the team, myself, as one of the co-founders, prior to this, I was a VC investor at AC Ventures, and before that, as an investment banker at Mandiri Sekuritas. And my two other co-founders with a complementary background from engineering, manufacturing, and also from IT background. So in terms of our latest traction, so we started this company about 2 years ago, more or less, and since then, we've have about 4 million park customers with about more than 30 plus parking system, and about 70% strong retention from our membership analysis, even after 1 year. And on the top line basis, we're at about more than 2 million ARR. And since day one, we've been operating in a positive unit economics, which makes all of our site level are profitable. And last but not least, on ESG issue, we have saved 200 tons of CO2 emission based on the amount of waiting time from the CMS solution. And lastly, the reason why we decided to explore Korean market is because we see a robust product innovation within our team to expand here. So in the future, we're exploring a portable parking system whereby you can actually install solar panel on top of the dispenser. And down the road, we can also pursue the car storage or even like ride-hailing shelter, which is prime for Southeast Asia market outside of Indonesia. Thank you. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. 발표 잘 들었습니다. 자, 바로 이어서 다음 뉴아인의 발표자분 나와주시기 바랍니다. 발표자분께서는 준비되시면 피칭을 시작해 주시기 바랍니다.
Hi everyone. Eyne is a medical R&D company. We started this project in 2017. Right now we are staffed with about 34 members who are mostly involved in the research and development. They are all backgrounds from diverse backgrounds with such as biochemistry, biomedical engineering, software and hardware development, coders. But we started this project with 4 specialists in neuroscience, robotics, biochemistry, and IP. We are mainly focused on the working with renowned university hospitals and research institutions of using electrical stimulation to treat various chronic diseases. One of the greatest scientific achievement that we had recently was in 2000 with the Genome Project. And following project was with the Brain Initiative that was started with the Obama administration. And with that project, actually our team was, before starting Eyne, that is, we were mainly focused on working on brain stimulation to treat diseases like Parkinson's and also for various neurological disorders using implantable devices. This trend, this set the trend going with the companies like Neuralink, that's backed by Elon Musk, and other companies like Galvani Bioelectronics. They also work on this particular area. And all of these companies, they propose the concept of electroceuticals or bioelectronic medicine to treat chronic diseases. With basically electronic devices, more or less, that can be implantable or wearable. All the diseases that are addressed are typically neurological issues or psychiatric disorders. But for Eyne, we saw some of the features of using electrical stimulation to not only focus on the modulating our nerve activity, but also promotion of faster wound healing, tissue regeneration, and nerve regeneration as well. And on the flip side, we can also disrupt the cell division process that can be applied for scary things like cancer. So past 5 years, as we started in 2017, we've done a lot of works in both cellular and animal studies, as well as a number of clinical trials in Korea, working with renowned clinicians in university hospitals. And we got a lot of good evidence. I'd be more than happy to share some of the data in our booth over there. But meanwhile, we saw things like damaged nerve fibers being regenerated, and this was very significant result that can be applied to some of the conditions that are limited in treatment at the moment. And similarly, in cancer, we did some cell studies and animal studies where electrical stimulation, in fact, reduces the tumor size, and that gives a lot of the promise for the progression of the treatment for oncology. Now, I have about 45 seconds. Okay, so for next 3 years, we have some of the major milestones for conducting clinical trials and expanding the indications and entering into different regions of the market. And particularly, we are looking in the patients with the cataract undergoing the surgery, and with the one pipeline alone, in 5 years, we are looking to achieve about $600 million revenue. And we are targeting 12 chronic diseases to solve aging, and it's a significant market of $44.9 billion to date, and there are about 1 billion people that are very old, and they need.
네, 발표 잘 들었습니다. 이어서 바로 다음 리플라의 발표자분 나와주시기 바랍니다. 네, 발표자분께서는 준비되시면 발표를 시작해 주시면 되겠습니다.
Hi, I'm Dong-eun from Repla. We enhance the plastics purity. So, how many of you recycle? I think probably all of you recycle, but do you know what happens after you recycle the plastic? Actually, plastics are huge amount goes into the recycling facilities, but only 13% of the recycled plastic is made into the new plastic. And the rest of the 87% of the plastics are actually being discarded. So there are a lot of plastic types, such as PET, PVC, PS, PP, and PE, but recycling companies had to sort only one type of plastic. So for example, PP recycling company have to sort only PP to the 100% purity, and PS recycling companies had to sort only PS. But it's very hard for them, so actually they include like 2% of impurities in their final recycled plastic. That makes the recycled plastic price 53% compared to the new plastic. So if they have achieved the higher purity, then they can have higher price also. So we discovered the bacteria that degrade the plastic type selectively. So for example, one of our bacteria do not degrade PP, but eat the rest of the plastic kinds. So if the recycling companies utilize this bacteria, then if they put a mixed plastic, then they can have one kind of plastic, which is PP. So for example, actually they shred this product, but if they put the mixed plastic, then they can have the highest purity that they want. And also, we ensure the impurity degree under 0.3%, which is almost the same quality with the new plastic. So they can have 1.6 higher price than the current state. So that is about $3 million per year based on 10,000 tons. So the process is the mixed plastics are added to the bioreactor we provide, and then only the one plastic kind will be the output. And also, actually, they are already making 95% purity, so we aim to make 95% purity to almost 100% purity. So we have two business models. One is we provide the bioreactor. And second, our specialists are sent to the facilities, and we maintain the bioreactor and also feed the ingredients for the bacteria. So our world sales scale is $80 billion in total, and the maintenance fee is $23 billion per year. So other than Repla, there are some PET degrading technologies, but they do not target other plastics such as PE, PP, PVC, and PS, which is polyolefin plastics. And they do not really actually degrade the PET perfectly. They only degrade the polyester bond, and they reassemble the PET and they sell it to other companies. So they have completely different strategy from us. We have one registered domestic patent and 2 international patents. So we are now scaling in 5-liter fermenter. After 2 more years of commercializing tests, we have a plan to conduct a pilot test in the actual recycling plant in 2024. So we consist of 17 members and 5 leaders and 4 experts who have more than 10 years of experience in research. Where plastic is reborn, there is better tomorrow. Thank you.
네, 발표 감사합니다. 바로 이어서 다음 비즈니스 캔버스의 발표자분 나와주시기 바랍니다. 발표자분께서는 준비되시면 피칭을 시작해 주시면 되겠습니다.
Hello everyone, I'm Clint. I'm co-founder and head of business at Typed, which is a document collaboration tool that serves as your team's second brain. 90% of the world's information was created within the last 2 years alone. Yet our work still very much lives in silos. And I ask why. It's because of how we manage and process information. Let's face it, folders are too old and tabs just don't work anymore. We waste about 2.5 hours every day when we show up to work looking for but not being able to find the information we need to get the job done. Now, this is like hiring 5 people and having one of them literally never show up. A new way is clearly needed to work with digital knowledge, and one that does not sacrifice productivity for the sake of collaboration. At Typed, we've redesigned document collaboration from this to this. It is an interactive network that actually reflects how our brains process information. And we do this by connecting the documents. As a result, with Typed, users connect information instead of deliberately separating them in silos, focus on output instead of having to switch context all the time, and be recommended the most relevant information instead of having to manually search for them. And this helps teams, from the likes of Google to startups, save the most precious asset for productivity, which is time. We started as a B2C productivity tool and are fastly scaling as a B2B solution. After launching collaboration this April in 2022, Typed now serves over 250 teams as their second brain around the world. Such customer satisfaction is in fact reflected in our recent growth. After launching paid plans for B2C in January and launching B2B paid plans in April, we've experienced over 150K ARR at the moment within the last 5 months. And you can see the growth very well in the data here. But this is just the beginning. We focus very much on building a great product that users love. And you can see that after adding collaboration, our usage of Typed is growing. As a result, after collaboration launch, month over month, the number of documents that are being created within Typed is 100%. We focus also on becoming a daily collaboration tool where files and knowledge are communicated through Typed every day. And you can see that users are engaged more and more month over month in a daily perspective. We address the $10 billion collaboration SaaS market. Google Workspace alone has 3 billion monthly active users. And as their official partner, we aim to target at first 1%, but ultimately 10% of early adopters from the existing tools. I believe that our position within the market is actually quite unique. If you divide the market between individual to collaborative, the note-taking or documentation tools, and then also how people save information from a directory structure to a network structure, Typed is, in fact, around the world, the only solution that is doing this in the market. Our recent success, I believe, is driven not only by our obsession with our mission, which is to make work easy, efficient, and effective, but also our leaders' diverse backgrounds across world and across industries. I will end with this. Writing is no longer a piece of A4 paper, but a collection of information. And our software needs to actually reflect this evolution for us, humans, to work more intelligently. And our mission to make work easy, efficient, and effective is for the future of work that you all expect within the next couple of years. And we are doing that by connecting the documents. Thank you.
네, 발표 잘 들었습니다. 그럼 이상 네 팀의 그룹 심사를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 발표하신 4개사 발표자분들은 모두 무대 위로 올라와 주시기 바랍니다. 자, 그럼 이제 심사위원단의 의견을 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Thank you all. This is Min from Altos Ventures, and it's a great pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for the amazing presentations. May I just ask questions right away? Would that work? Okay. I had some questions for all of you. For first of all, for Soulparking, I was curious, what was the payback period of your CMS? And how are you funding that capex that goes into that?
Sure. Thank you for the question, Min. So for the CMS, the payback is about 2 years, more or less. And with the additional ecosystem, we can actually push down a bit faster. And with the capex, we're actually exploring venture debt financing. And in the future, we're actually doing franchise as well to finance the capex. Thank you.
I have a similar question regarding the capex. So you put the capex or your partner put the capex?
Initially, we started doing the capex, but then COVID happened, right? So we need to find ways to have a slightly differentiated asset-light solution. So since then, we typically outsource the capex to third-party investors.
And what's your run rate?
Sorry?
Monthly run rate?
Run rate at about 2 million.
No, monthly burn rate.
Oh, burn rate, sorry. Burn rate is about 70K USD.
And you are cash positive?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yesol from FuturePlay, and I also do have a question for Soulparking. So how long does it take to onboard your system to the traditional parking lot?
Sure. So I'm pretty sure you're referring to the OS. So for the OS, typically we took over in about a week, more or less, to integrate our existing system through traditional parking buildings.
And also, I would like to know your competitive advantage compared to the local competitors in Korea.
In Korea, sure. So I think number one, in terms of the elevator parking structure, we're the only one that focus on two-wheelers, technically the pioneer. So I assume if you guys have any bicycles or motorcycle, we can tap into those type of market. Because in a local market, you guys are only focusing on four-wheelers. And I think, secondly, in terms of the raw material and in terms of the elevator positioning and function, is the key ingredients, right? Because we're using a hydraulic system that essentially can save a lot of electricity costs. So on the way down, you don't actually consume electricity whatsoever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, in one word, if you can describe your USP, because what I understand, you are borrowing the engineering from existing technology which exists for car parking, for others. So other than like pivoting your business process from car parking to two-wheeler, what's your engineering USP?
Sure. So on the CMS, it's on the hardware itself, right? In terms of, we patented already 3 things: overall design, positioning of the elevator, as well as the locking system to put the wheels in a static condition. And on the software itself, we actually started from scratch from our own internal IT team that tracks a few things, right? From the operating metrics, financials, all the way to monitoring of the parking equipment itself. So technically, we're the end-to-end in terms of software management platform and the hardware itself from the CMS.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In the interest of time, I would like to move on to New Eye. I am definitely not an expert in the bio sector, so I would ask, what is the next approaching key milestone that your team is expecting, and like what kind of performance do you have to make in that key milestone?
Okay. So we are working on 12 different chronic diseases to treat with 8 different devices, but in terms of the regulation and medical approval processes, you have to conduct clinical trials. And even before that, you have to both have a manufacturing facility in medical device grade, and all the technology has to be at least be validated in its proof of concept and its safety with animal studies and cellular investigations, right? So we've been working on those. We've seen promising results, both in the aspects of safety and efficacy. With that said, we are in communication with the both Korean Ministry of Foods, Drugs, Safety, and US FDA as well to conduct clinical trials. As I said, we've done a number of clinical trials too for different indications, such as dry eye, migraine, glaucoma, and we are also working on to get approval for other indications such as for autism, ADHD, and tinnitus as well. And we have some needed works for cancer. It's a very unique approach of treating cancer, and we are currently working with renowned clinicians and biologists and scientists really to say that it works. So I think except for the area of oncology, all of them are in the stage of clinical phase.
I see.
And for oncology, we are currently working on the developing devices really to have it make it available for the actual human patients to receive the treatment. So that's a bit of a long way to go. In fact, the way the electrical stimulation occurs, it's not just simply you just zap it, but there are a lot of the safety features that you need to consider, such as the heat and actual delivery of energy to the right spot, and any other risks that needed to be considered. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So just to clarify, among those 12 chronic diseases
Yeah.
you mentioned, what is your very next target?
I'm sorry.
What would be your very next lineup? Or so you mentioned the 12 chronic diseases you will target.
Right.
Right. So.
Okay, so as I just briefly mentioned in the presentation, so we are looking to conduct the clinical trial as a phase 3 pivot clinical trial in Korea for the patients that are undergoing cataract surgery. The part of the reason why we are targeting that group is after the surgery, a lot of the patients suffer from dry eye and corneal pain due to the corneal nerve injury, really. So the patients that are needed to receive the treatment, they often are afraid, and that number comes to about 30 to 40%. And we wanted to address that issue. So we are targeting that group. We'll be conducting that for about 6 months. And by that time, I think we are looking at third or fourth quarter of next year that we will be ready to market, at least in Korea. And again, we are in communication with the US FDA for this as well to conduct the clinical trial in the States. And we'll have the device available in the US as well in 2024.
Thank you.
Quick question, give
Yeah.
me a short answer.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, because there is only 6 minutes, I have 2 more. So why you have decided to go for such a long list of chronic disease? Normally, the big companies take billions of dollars to treat one. and you have 12. So is it too much?
Short answer, you want it? No. I'll just elaborate. In terms of the technology that we are utilizing, it's very applicable to different areas. Just if you understand the why this disease occur, and in terms of the how we are addressing 12, it's not much because for the medical device research and development, it's only about 1/20th of the R&D cost that is spent in new drug development. So with that considered, and already we raised about, it's not enough, but we raised about $30 million so far. And with that, we got here dealing with the 12 different indications, with not much of an issue.
Okay. We are just notified that we only have 5 minutes, so we will do a quick round of questions and answers. For Repla, I wanted to ask from the customer's perspective, what will be their cost basis? So they have to pay for CapEx, they also have to pay for your maintenance. Like, what will be their annual cost basis?
So in aspect of our customer's customer, they are the injection molding companies which manufacture the products made out of recycled plastic. If they have impurity, they will make a lot of defective products, so they're having actual cost. So they have a lot of complaint to the existing recycling companies. So the price is very different by the quality of recycled plastic. So if they can change the customer, injection molding companies, then they can have like a 1.6-fold price difference. And that is $3 million USD per 10,000 tons of processing amount. And our bioreactor will cost about $4 million, and maintenance fee is about $0.5 million per year. So I think they can get back of their investment of our facility.
Thank you.
I think what I understood is your business is more consulting model than the capex, because $4 million the company have to invest, set up the bioreactor, and then you charge the company for consulting, for maintenance of that reactor. So will not that increase the cost of existing companies?
Yeah, that is right, because we don't replace any of their existing solution. We actually add our bioreactor at the end. But as they add our bioreactor to their facilities, they can change the customer. For example, they were only providing their recycled plastic to the companies who make just low quality products, but they can change it to the customers who want the high quality recycled plastic and pay more for them. So the price difference is very huge actually, so they can at least in 2 years they can have more revenue than the cost of the investment of our bioreactor.
I do have a question for Typed. So could you tell us more about your pricing model on the repurchase rate for paid customer?
Right now, our business model is monthly subscription. So we only have one tier of pricing. It's $8 per month per editor that is invited to the space, much like a lot of collaboration SaaSes. We're actually in the process of diversifying our pricing tiers to actually accommodate a larger range of users. And repurchasing rates, our actually paid churn is about, within the last 5 months since we've launched pricing, is about 3%. So, but to be honest, we've only been pricing for the last 5 months. So if the retention rate were much, much lower, then there would be a lot of problems.
You said that you have 250 clients you have served.
Yes.
And 100K in revenue.
Yes.
So why this is so? So you were doing the pilot with 250 clients?
I'm sorry.
Or they are the paying clients or?
Yes, they are the paying clients. So we are a freemium model. There are no differences in terms of what the user can use in their features, but there is a limit in terms of how many documents that you can create within the platform. So the paying teams are obviously the ones that are not using the freemium model. So the paying teams would be 250 plus. Most of them in Korea, some in the US, some in Philippines, some in Japan, some in Europe. We have about 180 countries in terms of B2C, the entire user pool that have access typed and are using typed.
And what's the role of Google with you?
So our platform is actually, strategically we chose, we didn't want to become an editor, like the Notion or Quota, this new editor that's going to save work. We focus much more on the knowledge management aspect. So in fact, right now we integrate with multiple platforms.
네, 감사합니다. 발표 잘 들었습니다. 지금 그 심사를 하는 도중에 시간 분배가 좀 적절하지 못해서 뒤쪽에 있는 팀들에게 많은 질의응답이 가지 못한 부분들을 좀 양해를 부탁드리고요. 네, 바로 이어서 다음 그룹의 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. 오일나우 발표자분이 나와주시고 계시고요. 준비되시면 발표를 시작해 주시면 되겠습니다.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hyunwoo Roh. I'm the founder and CEO of OILNOW. We're helping drivers switch to electric vehicles. So let me first tell you what OILNOW we've been doing. So we're a driving app platform with the most MAUs in Korea, and we are helping drivers save money and time that they're spending on their vehicles. So for the past 3 years, we've been having 1.5 million downloads and 350,000 to 400,000 monthly active users. And our star ratings is on both the Apple App Store and Android Play Store are above 4.8 to 4.9. And something more amazing is that we've only spent the minimum marketing expenses to achieve such a phenomenal growth. So this is another proof that we are a very highly scalable and profitable platform that can have a sustainable growth in the near future. And we've just began expanding into electric vehicle charging station information. And within just half a year, we were able to achieve a 15% market penetration rate in terms of all the EV drivers in Korea. In other words, 1 out of 8 EV drivers are already using our platform to search for the most important information that they need to sustain their vehicle. And we haven't spent any specific marketing cost for this feature. But how was this possible? That's because we are capable of making a platform that's close to perfect consumer reports. So that's another reason why we are proven to be the most effective marketing and sales platform for automobile industry players. So our business partners are widely ranging from automobile makers and financial institutions and to small and medium startups. And what makes our platform even more fascinating for these businesses is our demographics. So first off, our users are 100% drivers who actually own their own vehicle. And our customers are the ones with very high purchasing power. They are in the ages of 30s to 40s, and they mostly live in the metropolitan cities. And most importantly, they are sensitive to prices, and they are tech savvy and early adapters, which in other words, they are the most likely targets to purchase EVs in the near future. So this is the value chain we are building up right now. So out of 24 million individually owned cars in Korea, still 98% are based on combustion engine. So all those drivers are in need of saving gas money. So they come into our platform and they find out our partner company's latest EV models, and we automatically do the math for them. So we show them intuitively how much they can save money on gas by switching to this specific vehicle. And we just don't stop there. We help them easily try it out and rent and test drive these vehicles so that they can better understand and better experience EVs. And when they decide they want to purchase their own vehicle, we link them up with our partner financial institutions who are willing to provide better conditions for our user pool. And last but not least, when they finish completing switch to EV, we based on the their charging pattern analysis, we automatically recommend them with which insurance policy they need to apply or which accessories they need to purchase to better utilize their vehicle. So yeah, we're now just opening up our Series A funding round. We are using this money to solidify our position as #1 driving app and helping drivers more easily switch to EVs. And last but not least, this is our access strategy. So see for yourself, imagine for yourself, a driving platform that hosts many drivers based on the most fundamental information that all the drivers need to sustain their vehicles. So, and the platform that is already proven to be the most effective sales and marketing platform for all the automobile industry players. So that was all of my presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. And I believe quite a lot of you have driven here, or at least plans to over the weekend. Please download our app, and we're going to be there for you to save your money and enjoy better time with your friends and family. Thank you.
네, 감사합니다. 발표 잘 들었습니다. 바로 이어서 다음 이뮨앱스 발표자분 나와 주십시오. 준비되시면 피칭을 시작하시면 되겠습니다.
Have you heard about complement system? It is the immune system. Maybe no. What about this? Have you thought about how many bacteria and viruses around us do exist around us in the air? You may be surprised by the number. It is 100,000 in cubic meter in the air. But then the question will be, why are we healthy now? One of the answers will be complement system. Complement system is kind of superhero because it protects our body against invading pathogen. But if it is out of control, it can damage and destroy our body. Complement inhibitor market will grow up to $19 billion by 2027 at the annual growth rate of 20.7%, which outperforms the antibody market growth. The unmet medical need in this area is insufficient inhibition of complement activation. For example, there is a disease called paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, where the defense mechanism against complement activation is lost, which results in red blood cell in our body being destroyed by the complement activation. So the patient who receives Solaris and Ultomiris suffer from ongoing fatigue, which is due to insufficient inhibition of complement activation. At that moment, we wanted to address was to make complement inhibitor, which inhibit complement activation up to 100%, thus removing fatigue from the patient. That is why we get together to make ImmunAbs because our mission is hope for patient and dreams for all. We focused on complement C5 among all the components of complement activation because all the complement pathway converge into complement C5, and also the toxicity profile of complement C5 is relatively safe compared with other components of complement pathway. This is the result of our effort. We made IM101 the complement inhibitor, and the data showed that our inhibitor inhibit complement activation by more than 90%, and also it is superior to any other complement C5 inhibitors. Thus, it will alleviate we think that the symptoms of such as fatigue in a patient. And then we analyze which indications we are going to enter first. We categorize 22 indications by commercialization and how fast we can finish our clinical trial, and whether we can go alone or we need other assistance from the pharma collaboration. So one example is generalized myasthenia gravis. The generalized myasthenia gravis, I mean, when you move, you need the communication between the neuron and muscle. But if there is an autoantibodies which inhibit communication between the neuron and muscle, the result will be hard to swallow, hard to walk, and droopy eyelid. The main cause of death in this disease is hard to breathe. So there are a lot of drugs in this disease, but the problem is there is still a need for more effective and safe drugs. We compared our antibody with other competitors' antibody, and what we found out that our antibody is superior to.
네, 아쉽지만 발표를 여기까지 듣겠습니다. 감사합니다. 자, 바로 이어서 다음 쿼타랩 발표자분 나와주시기 바라고요. 준비되시면 피칭을 시작해 주시기 바랍니다.
Okay, hello. I'm Andy, the CEO of Quota, and I'm very honored to use this time to introduce our company. Quota is a company that started out in late 2019 by 3 VC co-founders. And the reason why we started out is because we believe that the way that equity data gets managed is still far from being efficient. So why did we start? We think equity and fund management is all actually on the same board. Right now, the current system is broken. Everyone is using their own different version of data. There's no single source of truth, and there's no way where the data can be automatically aggregated. And it's all been done handwritten, so there's tons of loss and times of money where we're trying to keep up with crucial equity data. So how are we trying to solve this? What we do is we provide a single point solution, a single infrastructure where we connect all the stakeholders across the startup and investor network, where we become a proxy of the different ways of how the data and operations are being managed. So basically, the fund side data and the equity side data are all using the same formats and are all based online. So this way, we're hoping to make it way more convenient for everyone to sync crucial data. So basically, we have 2 very important client pools. One is the startup side, and one is the investor side. So start with the startup side first. What we do is we're not just like a single snapshot of whatever equity data is at a certain point. We are actually a full historical cap table where we become the ledger and we become the single source of truth for all sorts of different transfers and issuances. This covers not just the basic price per shares, but also the complicated terms and even the contracts that have been used to issue these shares. And it's not just about the investors as well. It's also about the employees. We provide portals where the employees and the companies can all sync up with various equity awards, including stock options and RSUs. So this way, employees can also see how much of their stock options are vesting, how much they're exercising, and which has become shares. Based on the securities that have been issued, we also help them cover up the operations based on these, which are investor reports, shareholder meetings, board meetings, and anything up to that. So this way, the corporate governance and everything along with that are now managed online, and it becomes way more easier to track the history. For the investor side, these company data, one by one, form up to become the full fund data. So for example, whatever stuff changes on the cap table and whatever corporate data changes all get fed into the investor side, so the investors can manage their funds more real time and more easily as well. And it's not just about the raw data, but also about the analytics and reports. We provide them way more high-level overviews of the data so that they can keep track of the company performances up to the business metrics as well. So while we've been doing this, we've been connecting tons and tons of ecosystem partners, including the top legal advisors, the top financial institutions, and also government entities as well. during our journey for a little more than 3 years, we've been very lucky to be financed for over more than $20 million. And this includes global investors across 5 countries. Right now, in Korea, we are the utmost leading platform covering the equity and fund management space. Right on our platform, we're helping investors and stakeholders manage more than $40 billion of assets on our platform. And we've been serving more than 40% of the investor and the top startup client pools in the market. Also, while we've been doing this, we've been the forefront of digitizing all these manually covered equity investments. And so along this journey, we've been partnering up with top startups where they're trying to embed more and more equity award types. So recently, we've launched Korea's first ever RSU system where the unicorn startups are starting to use this. Also, we're exporting our infrastructure that we've created in Korea, so that we're moving out more globally. We think this is a global problem happening across all the stakeholders, and we've been gathering up clients across 11 countries, including Singapore, Vietnam, Indonesia, India, and even Australia as well. So we're a team based on ex-co-founders, ex-startup founders, and even great talent from both the startup world and the investor world. So we're utilizing our professionality to build up infrastructures that will serve for generations. More and more, we're connecting not just the startups and the investors, but also employees, also LPs, accredited individual investors. And on the long term, we're not just going to be about issuance and management, but also transference and other aspects covering the whole full life cycle.
네, 감사합니다. 바로 이어서 다음 팀스파르타 발표자분 나와주시기 바랍니다. 준비되시면 피칭을 바로 시작하시면 되겠습니다.
Sparta Coding Club, thank you for having me. Though we heard a lot about software engineers these days, but they're just 0.5% of all office workers. So what we focus on is 99.5% of them is now want to learn code, and there should be something for them. So we launched, and for 3 years, we have 400K students so far. And basically, we made high revenue growth with profits, so we are a profitable company. And this year, we expect to have around 270억 revenue and 20억 이익. So we have 2 kind of courses, and first one is 5-week course for self-development, which is part-time course. And the second one is 15-week course for become an engineer, which is also in online and full-time. So the problem that we saw in this market is 3 things. So first one is that, so before Sparta, there are many courses around it, but actually all the courses were focused on making the developers. So there were no entry courses at all. And second one is Q&A board. So for example, in terms of learning coding, you have to fix your bugs right away. Otherwise, you can see the same screen with your tutors. So for example, like we have this Q&A board, and we're going to give an answer within 24 hours. It's not enough. Third one is self-discipline issues. So average completion rate of online courses is actually 4 to 6%. So we provide 3 kind of courses, and first one, free and part-time and full-time as well. So within this full-time course, we raised 3,000 students, and within this part-time course, we raised 30,000 students. Also, we provide the instant Q&A system, so technically all the answers can be given from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. within 5 minutes. Also, we provide a cohort-based learning system. So in terms of our full-time course, all the courses is in Metaverse with peers and TAs. And also, we provide this time tracking system so that they can see how much they studied in this week compared to their peers. So result is incomparable. So our completion rate is 15 times better than the average. And also, our employment rate is more than 90% within 6 months. So we have many inbound inquiries from well-known companies, and we are now also tapping the global expansion, so in terms of in Indonesia and US as well. So in Indonesia, we provide our courses to high school classes. However, we don't see our company as an education company, but we are more interested in the making business with the people that we raised. So we launched this bootcamp for founders, and we see that it can be our great seed investment pipeline. And also, we launched job matching platform, and this job matching platform, we already have more than 900 companies registered, and also we're doing outsourcing project with our students as well. Our target to 2025 is making 60 million revenue. So we are 80 people, fun people with great energy, and my previous career was working in the VC in Bone Angels, and before that, I worked as a software engineer in 배달의 민족. In 10 years, our goal is to become a borderless engineers community that aim for 250 billion market. Thank you.
네, 발표 감사합니다. 자, 그럼 이상 네 팀의 그룹 심사를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 발표하신 발표자분들이 지금 무대 위로 올라오고 계시고요. 네, 이제 그룹 심사를 진행할 텐데요. 심사위원분들께서는 시간 배정을 해주셔서 네 팀에게 공평하게 시간 배정이 될 수 있도록 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네.
In
Thank you
fact,
for.
I have. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't have a question to Quota book ND, but more of a comment. You are already controlling 40% of the market, so why you are here? You should be going for an IPO, not for a startup.
Well, to be honest, there's still lots of stuff that we have to cover up. Like, if you look into the equity management space, it's not just about the startups and the investors, but also the LPs, also the accredited investors, also the employees, and there's tons and tons of operations that have to go between them. So right now, we still think, honestly, that we probably covered like maybe 20 to 30% of the operations that could have been done online based on our infrastructure. So that's the part that we're trying to work on more and more. And also, we're here because we know everyone's having a hard time with this, so we want to do more sales, and we want to help up the community to become way more efficient.
One advice I will give it to you, not perhaps you should also think of launching a service where you can sell unlisted share of the startups. There you can make some serious money.
Absolutely. So that was actually the last slide. I kind of missed some time over that. So a pilot test that we did was with the subsidiary of the Korea Stock Exchange. So they are a very well accredited entity. What we did is we partnered with them to see whether we could test some liquidity providing programs. We've listed up some unlisted stocks based on the content of the companies, help them liquidate the stocks on the platform that the Korea Stock Exchange's subsidiary manages, and we've actually seen some successful transactions. So later on, once we get ready for that, we do think we can scale that operation up, and hopefully that will become another great business on top of the platform that we're building.
Thank you all. Thank you all for the presentations. I would like to ask OILNOW, since Quota Book told about the trial test that he did you also have a chance to do initial tests of selling EVs or selling insurances on the platform? Were there any initial test results?
Yes, we've done it. Early this year, before we even started actual monetization of the platform, we tested it out with some of the vehicles that's very with the very high gas mileages, like Golf of Volkswagen or Nero hybrid of Kia, and that's shown us pretty great results. Just the day we opened up, more than 10 people to 20 people actually deposited their monies to actually line up for the future purchases, and we've also did some of the consumer pre-researches for which type of complete EV out of like Tesla, Kia, Hyundai, they actually prefer to purchase in the near future. So we gather up the data. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for your pitch. And for OILNOW, I do have two questions. The very first one would be, could you tell us more about your competitive landscape?
When you say competitive landscape? So
Like your competitors.
Okay, our competitors, we believe, is going to be actually Solcar. That's the CEO of Solcar is actually one of the main hosts of here. So we are focusing on drivers who actually own their own cars. but Soul Car is actually trending people to, do not own cars. You better just share with some like extra resources. So that would be where our main competitors in terms of, like the macroeconomic approach.
I see. Thank you. And what will be the biggest bottleneck for your growth?
I'm sorry.
Bottleneck.
The biggest bottleneck. It's like when gas prices, especially for now, when gas prices are just very stable, people are tending to be less sensitive to, do the comparisons of like gas prices. And in terms of EV, when it's finally the time when everybody at their own places have their charging stations, when the finding charging station problems is not a thing anymore, that would be the bottleneck of our company. But we don't see it happening in any near-time future.
Thank you. And for Quota Lab, I do have one question. What is the proportion of your startup clients and investor clients?
Right now, so we have, I would say most of the customers are on the startup side. We have more than 3,000 startups and more than 600 investors, and that totals up for more than like 4,000 clients. I would say more the client base is on the startup side, but that's natural because in the market, there's way less investors, way more startups. So I think we're following a similar proportional market for that.
Thanks.
I have a question for Sparta Coding Labs. I think post-COVID, your business model must have affected a lot because during the COVID time, many kids or many students were using the online platform to learn coding. So how you wish to pivot that model now?
You're saying how we're ready for after COVID era?
Yeah.
Actually, we started our business in offline. And then we transformed our business into online, and then we are now strengthening our businesses in online as well. So we think that we're gonna give a course in online as well after COVID, because the result of the completion rate and employment rate is quite higher than other companies who give a lecture in offline. So, and also it is more helpful to our scalability. So we are ready for the after COVID era.
So running a coaching center for coding is almost 25 years old business model. So there's nothing new about it. So what's your USP? How you want to define your USP?
Our improvement, our courses. So for example, like there are many kind of coding institutions around our market, and they have same scalability issues. So in traditional companies. So first one is because they give a lecture in offline, and second one is because they give a lecture with the tutors. So that really gives them scalability issues. So in terms of our courses, we don't have the tutors. So all the courses are kind of a project-based learning, so that it's kind of a reverse learning, so that we don't have to put our tutors proportional to the number of the students. And also, we provide the course in online, so we solve these kind of two great issues in education, so that we think that these kind of, how can I say, competitive advantage will give us a great expansion strategy for global era.
I have a question for Quota book. If you were to grow maybe 10x from now, what will be your largest challenge that you will face?
That's a great question. What we think is, so for this core business, we started out as a SaaS model. To be honest, the number of clients that we can reach out for our initial target is not a size what you would see in like a B2C business. So, but on the flip side, what we think is very core to this business is there's never been a single repository where the private equity data, the private corporate data, the private fund data has all merged up. And this is actually going to be a data maybe like way bigger than what you might see that would be published from like the Ministry of SME or so. So with this is a private equity network that's being built. And this will provide opportunities for businesses that have already been proven on the public side. for example, like exchanges were one example, but also like appraisals, like custodies, also new financial instruments such as loans. Also, for example, over in the States, there's like these VCs like Bessemer Ventures making like index funds based on their cloud company like performances. So the reason why these businesses were not available in the private market is because there was no infrastructure at all, no way to verify those data, no way to connect them. So that's what we're building, and once we build that up, then we do think all these proven public business models will be available in the private side as well.
Thank you so much.
I have a question to ImmunAbs. How far are you in launching a product, and what's your strategy of launching the product into the market?
So we are doing clinical phase 1 in the United States right now, and we will start in 2024. We will do a phase 2A clinical trial in the US. We believe that there is a short pathway. So if we get approval by after phase 2B, maybe we can launch. That is a short pathway. So maybe we can launch our product in 2027. And then, the global market of size of the complement inhibitor is very huge. As I mentioned earlier, that is $19 billion in 2027. So we will sell our product in the United States, Europe, and Japan, or including Korea. So with the collaboration of Big Pharma, yeah.
So don't you think that your focus is so heavily on R&D, particularly for small-scale VC or angel investors, it will be quite a long wait? Because you will be launching 2027, today we are 2022.
Oh.
So maybe 10 years wait before they can think of exiting.
Yeah, that's a good question. Usually in a complement market, there is a very active M&A partnering. So 2 years ago, the AstraZeneca acquired Alexion, which is the leading company in the complement inhibitor. And also the last month, in August, the Amgen, another big biotech company, acquired another complement inhibitor developer. So we believe that after we check our efficacy of our molecule in phase 1 clinical trial, there is a chance for the M&A.
I have a question for Spartan Coding Club. How many students can one tutor cover in the current system?
So within our part-time course, it is actually recorded video. So there need no tutors at all. And in terms of our full-time course, one tutor covers 50 students.
50?
50.
Okay.
And also, actually, we use, because our employment rate is more than 90% within 6 months. So after they become a software engineer, they come back as a tutor.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
I do have a quick related question for TeamSparta. Do you have any plan to expand course curriculum or target age group?
Oh, actually, next week, our PM course will be open.
Good to know. Thank you. And I do have a question for ImmunAbs. Could you tell us your plan to educate market opinion leaders like doctors or doctors to make them use your drugs?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Right now we are observing our efficacy in a human in the United States, but after then we will participate in the conference a lot of doctors participating. So in that conference, we will announce and market. Announce our efficacy of molecule. So that is our plan.
Okay, thank you.
I think I think we are done with questions.
Actually, if you don't mind, may I ask you one more question for TeamSparta? Could you tell us more about your plan on global expansion?
In terms of global expansion, we're already tapping the market in US. So we target the markets that have a great gap between software engineers and other jobs. So for example, US is a great target for us. And we launched the business 2 weeks ago. And we're already having a class with 9 people, which is live class.
I think we can wrap it up.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
네, 감사합니다.